welcome to episode 15. For those of you who missed number 14, I started to fiberglass the top deck of the boat by myself. Now in this episode, I begin to finish adhering the hull of the boat to the top deck where the two seams meet there in the aft part of the boat. Now I had to do some tight squeezing and fit myself back into these little locations and build a few utensils to extend the epoxy brush and the squeegee tool to be able to complete this task, and you'll see more of that in this episode. I move on from there to start creating a molded galley sink because my other one was not quite large enough for what I wanted to do. And I go ahead and start creating a foldable galley shelf, and you'll see a little bit more of that and get a better idea of what I'm talking about in this episode. But there's some really good content and some nifty features that happen along the way. So stay tuned for the rest of the episode, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Thanks for watching. Okay, welcome back to another episode of Neon Swill. I hope you guys all enjoyed that quick intro. Thanks again for tuning in. As I had mentioned, this is the bottom hole that's going to be attached to the top deck of the boat. I go ahead and fabricate this extended paintbrush to help me reach the far corners of the boat and lather the epoxy where it needs to go. So to continue on with the theme of this boat, I go ahead and add some more thickened epoxy to the joint of the boat using this extended squeegee you see here. I then follow it up with one layer of 1708 to guarantee that the top deck will not be blowing off in a storm. So I couldn't actually reach into the back of the boat. What I ended up having to do was place the 1708 on top of the extended paintbrush and reach as far back as possible in order to get it into its proper location. I honestly couldn't tell you how many times I got stuck back there just trying to reach a little bit further. And of course everything on a boat is duplicated, so I go ahead and do the same job for the port side of the boat. So on the port side of the boat I do have a little bit more room to work with as the gas tank holder is not in my way. I'm able to shimmy along the second bed extension in order to get in the proper location so I can start adding more thickened epoxy to the joint. And here you can see I start the process of adding the one layer of 1708 to the joint. I go ahead and use the same technique I did on the starboard side by placing the 1708 on top of the extended paintbrush and reaching back to the proper location. I can't actually tell you how fun that really was, but no complaints, we get the job done, and that's the last I'll have to do of that for a while. Alright, I just got back in the boat. I was in here this morning. I was adhering the bottom hole to the top deck on the port and starboard side for both of the back side of the boat. So if you see there, back in this little corner and back behind the corner behind me as well, I was squeezing in there. I took the thickened epoxy and laid it across that joint, and then laid one layer of 1708 across that joint as well. And it's currently a little sticky right now, but it's drying, and I think it came out quite nicely. So yeah, that's one of the big things that I had to do on the boat, and I was really just ignoring it because I didn't want to squeeze back there and do a whole bunch of epoxy work. As you can see, I had some utensils here that I had to create just so I could reach way back there. And so I had to extend my paintbrush or my epoxy brush, and then extend the fillet squeegee as well. So everything came out pretty good, and I'm happy with the results. So now I'm back in the boat creating some templates for the porta potty area. What I'm gonna do is add a bulkhead right here, and I'm gonna use a stir sticks and hot glue to create those templates. And then behind the porta potty, I'm gonna have a removable piece of plywood or foam core that'll go into basically like H or rails or something like that, H clamps. And so I plan on putting my battery bank, maybe 1 or 2 batteries right here and right there. So that'll give me enough battery to power the whole boat. You know, it's only a 22-foot boat, so I'm not looking to put a whole bunch of batteries in here. But yeah, that's what I'm doing now, so stay tuned. So I'm actually sitting on the pooper now, if you can see that, but I'm sitting over here trying to design a few more things for the boat, and what I come up with over in the galley area. So this is where my two burner alcohol stove is gonna go, and what I really would like to do is have a little bit more space to work, or tabletop space. So what I'm kind of thinking of doing right here is have like a hinge kind of shelf that's gonna pull out like this and give me more cutting room, and go all the way back in there and give me more cutting room. Just because there's so little space in this boat, I really got to start thinking outside the box and trying to think of where I can hide little shelves and whatnot. And so I'll have this shelf pull out here, and it'll basically go a few inches from this side right there. And then what I'm going to do, I think, is once this shelf is pulled out, I'm gonna maybe have another shelf that'll pull out from here and maybe meet up. Let's close that. So I can stand in this position and cut stuff over here, and then just throw it on the burner right there. So I can cut stuff here. It'll be more of like an L kind of shape thing, and they'll all slide out from little secret spots inside the boat. I know it's kind of hard to visualize right now, but hopefully as it starts coming together, I think you'll start seeing how everything's going to come out, and it'll look really nice and really provide a lot of function for inside the boat. It's just one of the things of minimizing or maximizing the usability of this space inside the boat. You know, it's only a 22-foot sailboat. I can almost touch where the bed is going to be. So yeah, just kind of go for efficiency, and hopefully we can get everything working right in here and make it comfortable yet functional, and make it more than just a weekender boat. I started cutting out some more pieces from templates that I had made earlier for the galley area, and as you can see here, I'm about to glass the foam. They're going to link together and create sort of like an L, so I can have somewhere else to work on food and whatnot. So I'm about to cut some cloth and do a little bit of fiberglass, and yeah, so boat's coming along well and everything's working just right, I guess. So this is the front bulkhead for the head, the galley tabletop that'll be foldable. This is the back bulkhead for the head. This is another hatch that I forgot to make for the back second bed extension. And then I have here that pull out galley shelf that's gonna latch in to this little section right here. You'll get a better idea when it gets installed in the boat. So after fiberglassing just a few more pieces for the boat, the next day I go ahead and do a test fit of the galley shelf. I also do a bit of grinding and sanding on these pieces, and then move on to install the bulkhead for the head area of the boat. Alright, so I finished fiberglassing some of the galley shelf I'll be putting inside the boat, as well as finished creating or fiberglassing the mold of the sink that I had purchased from Walmart. So what I ended up doing yesterday was deciding that I needed a new sink for the boat. The metal one that I had purchased off of Amazon wasn't quite big enough, and if I wanted to leave dishes in there or have some sort of dish rack for drying, that sink wouldn't have worked. So I ended up going to Walmart and finding a sink that'll fit in the dimensions that I had inside the boat. It was basically a plastic bin, and I polished that plastic bin and layered it with some Vaseline on the outside, and then covered it with a whole bunch of 1708 fiberglass. And I really think this is gonna work out nicely if everything goes to plan. And I used it as a mold, and so it should be dry now. We're gonna go check it out and make sure everything came out and see if the mold pops free from the fiberglass. So yeah, let's see if it works. So to reiterate what I had mentioned there, I was looking for a new galley sink. I ended up going to Walmart and finding a plastic bin that was the exact dimensions that I was looking for. I covered this with a layer of Vaseline. Then I ended up covering it with several layers of 1708 and created a molded new galley sink. Now the new sink has a much larger depth and reach than the other sink, and that was the entire premise around this whole idea. This thing, there's like 4 or 5 layers of 1708 on this thing, and it is solid everywhere. So think it's really going to be a good sink when it's all finished and in the boat. Already bleeding. So as self-explanatory as it looks, the mold popped free just perfectly, and I was more than happy with the result, especially for a first try. So as you can see, that the method that I was talking about, I used a plastic bin here that I purchased from Walmart, and then I just covered it in a light layer of Vaseline, actually probably too much, and then just covered it with 3 or 4 layers of 1708, and it created this new sink that just needs to be ground down around the edges. But other than that, a little bit of sanding, I think it's gonna work really well. So let's see how it fits inside the boat. So I just inserted the new sink into its location inside the boat. As you can see, this is where the 2-burner stove is gonna go, and then I have this large new sink that needs to be fitted into its location. As you can see, the old sink here fits almost twice inside of that, and it just doesn't have the same depth and reach as the new sink does. So yeah, this molded piece that I had taken measurements and found at Walmart worked out really well, and it's really strong. So yeah, I can't wait to fit that on the galley tabletop and make sure everything looks and fits good. But yeah, I think it's really gonna make a huge addition to the boat. Alright, so I hope you guys all enjoyed that episode. I honestly appreciate all the feedback that I'm receiving, and I really hope you enjoy this project. You know, it's just a small 22-foot boat, but it's required so much work for me in the past year and a half that I've dedicated a lot of time to this boat, and I really enjoy the process and editing the videos, and I'm trying to make them more entertaining for you guys to enjoy. So If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button as well. I'm going to try to keep them coming for as long as possible, and hopefully we'll get this boat in the water as quick as possible as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy this episode and future episodes to come.